Hi, welcome to the vlog. If you're a subscriber to the channel, apologies for the length of time it's been between videos. But I've been on a journey of discovery with model railways. Now, if you've watched previous vlogs, my kind of ultimate goal is to get trains running fully automated, but also be able to move them around the track should I want to manually. So doing research probably for the whole of this year, really looking at I was kind of focusing all my efforts on loady system control stuff, but starting from scratch, it's very expensive. So I had a number of options. I have a Z21, a Roco Z21 controller, which I know they're very popular, or appear to be anyway. A lot of people use them. There's a lot of information about it. But I've got the white one. If you don't know, there's two versions, a white and white start, which is the one I have. Now the white start usually comes with train set, and people separate them off and sell them. It basically has the Z21 white and a router, TP-Link router, which enables you to connect your phone to it and control the trains from your phone. Oh, that's great. So it's with my first model railway about 5 or 7 years ago that I had for a couple of years. I had it controlled by the Z21, but didn't do any automations, and like the points I just changed manually because I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and maybe still don't have a clue what I was doing. Anyway, my downfall is electrics and electronics. I know how to wire up a plug, but don't really fully understand. So without automating anything, it was easy to run a bus wire around the room, have some dropper cables to power the track every now and again, and also using electrofrog, I think, to fully isolate it and then power it. So I isolate it from the track. Anyway, so that was okay. So my thinking was buying something like Lodi would remove me from having to know too much about electronics. I just plug in a few wires. Great, because my idea, I don't really want to get too involved in the electrics and electronics. See, that's where model railway is a multifaceted hobby, isn't it? So you have people that like to run trains, people that maybe their preferred stuff is to do modelling, so model villages and landscapes and all that kind of thing. And there's also people who enjoy the wiring side of it, so the more manual kind of work stuff, they love that. And then again, people who maybe like myself would like to automate it all. So really, if there was no hardware, I'd be quite happy. If it was all software, why don't I just play a game on the PS5, I hear you say. So that's where I am. I'm definitely a software person, not really a hardware person. But I know I need hardware to run the model railway, obviously. But if I can extract myself from having to do or understanding too much electrical stuff. Now I know there are people that say, oh, why are you using model railways if you don't like wiring? That's the most... Okay, we all like certain things on the hobby. Mine just isn't the electrics. Now I'll learn what I need to know, obviously, and I know I need to do stuff. So why am I saying this? So I had a brainwave watching YouTubers. Those of you who don't know, I have a caravan channel as well, and it's a similar sort of thing there. You watch YouTubers and they have this great, oh, look at this great new product, you must have this, everyone goes and buys it. And however, so I've kind of suckered in a bit. DCC-EX CSB1. It's a open source project, DCC-EX. A lot of information on there. A lot of it goes completely over my head with electronics. But I thought I'll give it a go because I will know the software side. There's a lot of software involved as well, and configuration files and stuff, which I've done. I could do it with my hands tied. So I looked into these, and I'll show you. I went out and bought one, £134 with a case and a power supply. I'm going to say it's based on the thing called an Arduino, which is like this, but they've turned this into being a more model railway specific computer. So it powers the track, but you can plug other boards in to do things like control your points, block detection, stuff like that. So the more I read, the more I thought, okay, it seems interesting to me. However, there wasn't really enough information on it. It was very high level stuff they were telling you. Like, oh, just connect your points up and it blah blah, it works. Yeah, how do you do that? Then just configure it in JMRI, which is an open source iTrain, to make a comparison, or train controller, whatever. It's the software that controls the trains. So I bought this and I looked into it more. And I thought, okay, so how the heck do I control the points? Simple, they say. Buy another board. Connect it to the CSB1. It might be CBS. I'll put what it's called down there. And whilst I was at the same time, I was researching block detection, and a lot of people say use these. I'll put the name in it now. I can't remember. It's basically it detects movement, and the train comes down the track, and it knows it's coming, right? So it can then feed back to whatever software you're using. There's a train coming. There's a train here. 75p for free on AliExpress, including postage from China. Anyway, it's about £7 each on Amazon. Don't quote me on that. So how do I connect that? Oh, you buy another little thing. And these are all relatively cheap, £6, right? So connect this to their board. Then I was in too deep. I don't know. I mean, these things arrived, and I sat there for about a week trying to figure out how they. I mean, I got it connected in, and if, by the way, if you just want a DCC controller to power your railway, this does it for 130 quid. Bargain. So after a week, I realised this is just not for me. I've got cut my losses now. Okay, I've tried to save money, and I haven't spent wisely. So Lodi was out of the question because it's too expensive. That was out of the question because it was far too technical. So go back to Z21. So I've got the Z21 white. You may know there's two. There's a white, which is a beginner, and a black, which is the advanced and has more features. But if you drill down, try to find out what these more features are. Can my white one do everything I need it to do? Now, there was something I was particularly interested in is when we do block detection. So that's when the train goes around the track and the software knows where it is. The black Z21 has a CAN bus. Bear with me. A CAN bus can speak Railcom, if you like. So Railcom is some sort of protocol where when the train goes round, it knows from the decoder what the number of the train is. So basically it can tell you what train it is. Rather than there is a train in this block, it will tell you what train it is, which I liked. I mean, practical reasons, I have no idea yet, but it's something I got into my head that I wanted. So, I've already got the white one. I don't think it's going to work. So I was on eBay. I thought I'll get a used one. I don't want to buy a new one, I'll get a used one. So when I was looking, there was a German model railway company who was selling it brand new for 260. Oh, that's weird. £12 delivery, €12 delivery. So I ordered it, got it into the UK. I had to pay some customs, £60 customs. So doing rough calculations, that brings it into about £330, which is the same price as a used one from Rails of Sheffield. I do love a bargain. Although, okay, it's still a lot of money, but I thought, you know what, it's going to give me what I want. Then, of course, you need to buy a whole set of decoders and detectors and things that I'm looking at them, they're just over there. So the first thing I bought was a switch decoder. Now, switch decoder is what manages your turnout motors. So switching the turnout left to right, the switch decoder will do that. So that connects up to your bus, and that's all good. So in parallel, whilst I was researching what digital control station to use, I had no idea about point motors. In my previous layout, I'd never used them. So how the hell do they work? How do they plug in? But what controls it? So that's when I found out about the switch decoder. I thought that's good. But at the same time, I was seeing other point motors that didn't seem to need a decoder. See, this is where the two worlds of DCC and DC in my head collide. I've never really invested too much in DC previously. So when I got back into model railwaying from being a child, I was straight into DCC. I didn't even know DC was still around. But a lot of YouTubers and a lot of model railways still use it, which is fair enough. But from starting from scratch, I wouldn't start with DC. I'd go a bit more computerized. So I was looking at point motors, and I've settled on these MP1s, MP1s. Now, anyone answer this? Why there seem to be such a shortage of point motors? They seem to be out of stock everywhere. I managed to find these on a website. I bought 6 of them for about 100 quid, I think. Now, the downside is they're very small. No, it's a good thing. They're very small, sorry. But the downside is they haven't got a removable connector strip there. So you've got to connect them up and then... Anyway. But before I bought those, as a comparison, from the same company, I bought this. DP4. Now, this is a digital controller. It has a breakaway connection block, so you can connect it up and then plug it in. But more importantly, it has a DCC decoder in it. So I thought, I just bought a decoder. Do I not need a decoder now? Well, if I bought all these, I wouldn't need one. But these are more expensive. So if these, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but if these are £20 each, these are nearer 30. And it's slightly bigger. Not that that's a problem for me. But as a comparison, I bought one of these. Now, if you watch YouTube channels, these seem to be the point motor of choice. But they're absolutely huge. Now, you could argue under a railway it doesn't really matter. Well, I don't want it to buy, and they're expensive as well, or more expensive. But I think why people get these is that they're the same form factor as a tortoise point motor, so they're an easily replaceable thing for those. Anyway, I won't be buying any more of those. These are fiddly as hell, so I might buy one that's a bit bigger. Now, what I'm still trying to get straight in my head is block detection. Now, very similar to the switch decoder, which I'll show you in a minute, which is the thing that controls the switches, but this controls block detection, so it knows when the train is where. So the software knows where the train is. In my head, I'm thinking, I choose a rail, chop the rail to remove the power from it, then in the block between two chopped rails, obviously there's no power to it. So then you attach a dropper and attach that to your detector, and then it detects when the power's there. I think. Is that right? Does anybody know? Because I'm reading all things about reed switches and all kind of switches and extra hardware that I need, but I don't think I need any. I think I just insulate the rail joiners either side of one piece of track, and that becomes a block. Or I could have two, and obviously one or two or however many. So let me know. Block detection is still a bit of a. I mean, what I want to do is set this up, a cut track, wire a piece of thing, and just try it. See how I get on. So here I'll show you the points in action. So I've got those little MP1s. So that's where I am. I'm locked into Z21 now. Actually, I'm probably not really locked in, but I've gone for Z21. I'm more familiar with it than the other stuff, so I can crack on with it now. Points are taking forever because it's the first one I've done. First ones I've done, so I've done 4 now. Next one is to do. Hang on. Your next thing is to wire up this double slip. I've kind of started on it, but it's an electro frog, so it's going to cause me a bit of a headache electrically wise. Actually, saying electro frog there just reminded me of something. Unifrog, come to my saviour. I mean, I've replaced. Actually, I had some turnouts, left and right turnouts before. I've replaced them. Honestly, I've got electro frogs and insule frogs in the bin. Unifrog, my saviour. 3 cables, no isolated rail joiners, just connect it up to track as you would a normal piece of track. 3 wires, red, black and green, from the point motor. Job done. I mean, no, I didn't even need the frog. You know, you also get a frog cable. I've no idea what you'd use that for. I mean, well, I know it's to power the frog, right? But you don't need it with the Unifrog. So that's, now what I'm dreading is that double slip that I showed you there is electro frog. So I'm having to isolate joins. Oh, come on. Unifrog is the way forward, my friends. Anyway, thanks for watching. Here's some trains.